What's going on, everybody? K to the 2 here with round 1 of the NPL playoffs. This time we are going up against Zero, who handed us our one and only loss of the regular season. Only 1-0. That was a 1-0 loss that came at the hands of me not preparing completely well against his team. Oh well, there's not really much I could have done. Besides run Adamant instead of Jolly Azumarill. And you never run Jolly Azumarill anyway, so lesson learned, not going to do that again. This week we are bringing the Excadrill. This Excadrill has leftovers with Dual Stab, Stealth Rocks because it racks up a bunch of damage against his team, mostly because he doesn't have reliable spinning or defogging. The only defog he has is on Staraptor, which he would never bring defog Staraptor. Next up, oh, it also has Toxic to deal with Landorus on the switch-in case I predict it to come in. I don't know, predicted Earthquake or whatever. Next up we have Sub-Punching Mega Heracross with Pin Missile and Rock Blast. Not really much to say about that. Next up we do bring back Lemon, our MVP, who is Belly Jet again. Belly Jet does just a hell of a lot of work to this man's team. The only real stop he has to it is the Whimsicott, so once that's out of the way, Lemon puts in a whole lot of work. Next up we're bringing the Magneton. This, I knew it would catch him off guard because he picked up Lantern just for Magneton and Magnezone. And I'm bringing, instead of the HP Fire for Ferrothorn, I'm bringing the HP Grass for Lantern. Just to start wearing it down, because I know Lantern doesn't get reliable recovery outside of Rest, which really isn't really that reliable, it'll catch him off guard because he's going to think in his mind that I had the HP Fire to hit Ferrothorn. So that's the thing. I'm also running Protect on it just to scout again against Landorus. And then I'm bringing the Hippowdon just to get stand up for Excadrill and to whirlwind things out. I'm bringing the Crunch on it for Meloetta. That way I can get some solid damage on it. Or actually, that's the only reason to bring Crunch. I'm also bringing Earthquake and Slack Off just to get health back. And lastly, I'm bringing a mixed defensive Milotic. That way it can take hits from the Lantern and the Whimsicott, as well as Meloetta. It can just overall take hits. And I'm also bringing the Mirror Coat on it. That way if he tries Volt Switching with Lantern to get priority, or Switch Initiative rather, it will decimate whatever comes in, because that is a lot of HP that it's going to be losing, and it deals 1.5 times back to whatever he switches in. So that's the team. Let's go ahead and get right into the game. So looking at his team, I know he doesn't really have a lot for Lemon, so I'm just going to go ahead and lead straight off with it, and he's going to lead off with his Landorus. He predicts nicely for me to go for the Belly Drum first turn. Goes into Whimsicott, so he could possibly get off the Encore, which would have just completely destroyed me. However, I switch out into Milotic, and seeing this matchup is not a good one, I am willing to switch out, and I go straight into Heracross, as his Whimsicott sets up a sub. Now this is fine with me because I do have the Pin Missile. I can break the sub and get off free damage on it. He could have switched straight out and not taken damage, but there really wasn't much on his team bar Lando that could switch in and take a Pin Missile. but Landorus can't really hit Hercules anyway, so there wasn't really much he could do. He goes ahead and U-turns out into Meloetta, which is going to force a switch for me into Hippowdon. Hippo is going to be able to eat up Psyshocks all day, and he sees that he's not going to be able to really hurt me. So I'm going to go ahead and go for the Crunch as he switches out into Landorus here, probably predicting me to go for the Crunch or the Stealth Rocks or whatever. As I do go for the Crunch, and he's going to go ahead, get that Intimidate off against me. I'm going to be able to switch out straight back into Heracross, as he's going to be able to get Switch Initiative again with U-turn, because he knew I wasn't going to want to stay in. I mean, we couldn't really do anything to each other. I could have went for the Whirlwind, but switching into Heracross was my best play, because any of his moves would not have hurt me that much. But we have the same situation where he has the Meloetta in on my Heracross, which really is bad for me. So I'm just going to go ahead and switch out into the Excadrill, who eats up that resisted Psyshock, and is going to be able to fire off an Earthquake against anything. However, this turn I click a Toxic, predicting the Landers to come in to take the Earthquake. He said after the game that it was Scarfed, and he only brought it for the Infernape and the Latios, which is good for him if I brought either of those, but since I didn't, he kind of only used this as Intimidate fodder. As right here he goes for the Earthquake, and I should have clicked the Rock Blast here, because Rock Blast would have killed the incoming Whimsicott. However, I go for the sub, and he's going to be able to Encore me into Substitute, which actually is really bad, because now I can't do anything to him. He's going to be able to just U-turn out. I could have continued to try and set up substitutes, but that would have just given him free switch into really anything on his team just to try and set up on me. So instead, I'm going to go into Hippowdon as he U-turns out this time, and he goes into, I think, the Ferrothorn this time. I was gonna say the Landorus, but he already did that one. So I go for the Earthquake, and I see that does a lot of damage to a Ferrothorn coming off like no attack investment at all. As he shows the Bulldoze, which lowers my speed, and he has the Life Orb. That was really big. He could have taken out my Hippowdon. If not taken it out, it would have done a hefty amount of damage, to the point where I would have had to switch out. He went for the Bulldoze, expecting my Magneton to come in, but I had no prior knowledge to know that he was offensive, so I had no reason to switch out into the Magneton right there. So yeah, that leaves his Ferrothorn at about 50%, and I still have an alive Hippo. So it's going to really shorten the longevity of his main attacker, it seems like. Main physical attacker, that is. Because Ferrothorn could have done a whole lot of work to me. I was like in the chat, Life Orb, are you kidding me, when I saw that, because that was just insane. So I'm actually going to leave this thing in, because I feel like I can definitely take a Power Whip, even after it's being boosted by Life Orb. And I'm going to go ahead and switch out as the Whimsicott comes in into Avogadro, as he goes for the Encore, trying to lock me into the Earthquake so he can get a free switch into Landorus. But I'm going to have none of that. I have the free switch into Excadrill anyway, so why not go into it? I'm just going to go ahead and go for the safe Iron Head here. It's going to do enough damage to the Landorus where he's not going to have a whole lot of switch-ins left with it, which means that's one less thing he can use to get priority against my team, or switch initiative against my team. I could have, the Sand wore out, Sand went away right there, so I couldn't stay in. As he goes for the U-turn, actually predicting me to switch, which was a good play. But there really wasn't much that I could do. If I click the Earthquake there, I feel like something would have died against his team. It really would have worn down his team a lot. As like it would be able to 2-hit KO a Ferrothorn, and it could have done a lot of damage to Diancie, done a lot to Metaletta and Whimsicott. But I didn't have the balls. I didn't want to stay in and get wrecked by an Earthquake. As I'm getting way behind now, we can see that he's in with Metaletta now, and he can set up a substitute, and he's going to fire off a Hyper Voice, leave me at just under 50%, as I'm going to be able to Whirlwind him out into his Whimsicott. Right here, predicting him to go for the Encore. I'm going to go ahead and switch out into my Magneton so I could get off a free Flash Cannon. Or no, I went into the Excadrill so I can fire off another Iron Head, as he predicts this nicely and goes for the Trick Room, which I had no idea Whimsicott even got. So that's up, and that's actually really bad for my team, because he can go into really anything and I can be outsped. As he goes into the Landorus to get off the Intimidate. Since I know he can't really touch my Excadrill though, I'm going to go for the Stealth Rock, and there's nothing really the rest of his team could do. So I'm just going to go ahead and go into Hippo as he goes for the Earthquake. And right here, since the Trick Room is up, I'm going to be able to get up a free Slack Off as he switches out, trying to preserve this thing one more turn. If he went for another Earthquake there, that would have been good as well, for him at least. But I'm just going to go ahead and go for the Slack Off. Now right here, again predicting the Encore, trying to lock me into the Slack Off. I'm going to go into Menage a Trois, as indeed that is what he does. So I'm going to go ahead and go for the Flash Cannon. No need to mess around. As he does switch in his Lantern here, we get off some free damage with the Stealth Rocks and a little bit of Flash Cannon damage, not really a whole lot. Right here, expecting him to want to Scald or Volt Switch. I'm just going to go ahead and stay in. I know I can take either of those, and I can 1v1 this thing if he wants to stay in and go for Scald. Unless he gets the burn, which he fortunately goes for the Volt Switch. I could have switched into Excadrill or Hippo, predicting the Volt Switch, but that was a little bit too risky, seeing as they could take super effective Scald damage and get burned. Both of those would be bad. So right here, he goes into the Metaletta off the U-turn, and he's going to get up a free Calm Mind. Again, which is not good for us, because Hippo will take a whole lot of damage from this. But we are able to Whirlwind this thing out. And in comes the Ferrothorn. I am going to go ahead and sack off my Magneton here, since I know it's not going to do a whole lot to him. But he does go for the Power Whip. He would be able to take me out with another one, but he also knows that I can't really do anything to him now that he saw that I had the HP Grass over the HP Fire. So good for him. He can't really do anything to. What am I saying right now? Magneton can't really do anything to Ferrothorn, so I just decided to sack it off right there, get a free switch into something, which that something ends up being my Mega Heracross. And right here, I predicted him to switch out. I don't know why, but I go ahead and click Focus Punch, and he actually stays in, which caught me off guard. I don't know what I was thinking really. I could have just gone for the Pin Missile and killed it, and saved this thing for potential death fodder to make the end game a little bit easier. as right now I am down 6-4. But I can go straight into Hippo because I know I'll outspeed this thing. And I can just fire it off an Earthquake, which is going to do enough to take out the Ferrothorn. And we're going to be able to get leftovers. That's going to burn a turn of Sandstorm. And right here, he has a free switch into Meloetta, which can come in and Hyper Voice and kill me. Now, now I have the free switch into Excadrill, which can come in and fire off an Earthquake. His Landorus is a point where the Stealth Rocks will knock him out on the switch in, so I have no reason to not go for Earthquake here. And that's exactly what I do, as he does sack off his Lantern. As whoops, I skipped ahead a little bit too much. I'm going to be able to Earthquake after he sends in his Whimsicott and locks me into an Earthquake. Now right here, I knew if he was fully defensive, I wouldn't be able to knock him out with an Earthquake, and he'd be able to do a whole lot of damage with an Earth Power or just really anything. So instead of staying in and going for the roll to kill with Earthquake, I actually go into the Milotic. That way I can possibly get off a Scald against this and get a burn on something. However, he shows the Trick Room here, and then I get a little bit scared because I did not know that Diancie got it as well. So that's going to mean that his Meloetta, if he's modest, he would be able to outspeed my Excadrill now. And his Lantern can outspeed my Azumarill because I put just enough speed in Azumarill to outspeed the Lantern. So that would be what am I saying? Gosh, let's just go ahead and skip to what's happening right now. He actually this turn took like 4 minutes for him to choose. I just went ahead and clicked the Mirror Coat, knowing he either want to Volt Switch or even Scald, as that would start wearing down the Lantern. But I clicked the Mirror Coat as he goes for the Volt Switch and switches into the Meloetta, and that won me the game right there. That made it so I had nothing to worry about with my Excadrill. And because it outsped and killed both of these with its stab moves, but instead of doing that, I'm going to, just to spite him, I'm going to go into Azumarill and potentially get off a just a belly drum and sweep his team like that instead, because we've been talking like this whole time how Azumarill just completely wrecks his team, and just to spite him, I'm going to kill him with the Azumarill. So I'm just going to go ahead and go for the knockoff, kill this thing, and an Aqua Jet to knock out the Diancie. So that's going to put me in the playoffs. Detroit Gale Wings for the championship. Let's see next week how we fare against Fog, because Fog beat R4 in their first round match, and that's going to be the game right there. So I will see you guys next week. Exciting times, but we are not done at all. Let's go ahead and see what we can do, and I will see you guys next time.